guess what? The weapon saw worked. It worked. Like, and there was no mechanism. Like, why would this work? People with weapon saw were doing a lot better. Patients with weapon saw. Now you'd say this is like a not double-blind study. It's a study.
Today I'm painting on canvas with watercolor, and I've pre-treated my canvas before painting on it with this here, Daniel Smith's watercolor gourd, and it cost about $16 a jar, and I've pre-treated my canvas so that I could paint like it's a watercolor paper. And so far so good. I'm loving it. This is quite fun, and just a really good exercise to practice and do something new, try something new, different. Basically right now what I'm doing is I'm laying on sky blue onto the canvas, and leaving some whites to indicate clouds. The reference photo is this. This is the reference photo, and as you can see there's clouds in the sky. So I'm basically just laying down some paint to indicate the sky and clouds. And I am loving the results. This is fun. Something different. I'm going to prepare a few more canvases like this. And basically it's a cowgirl with her horse. I know it's kind of hard to see upside down, but it is a cowgirl and her horse. And I'm just like playing and like having fun with this. I'm going to do the mountains purple, and then later on I'm going to add some blue to them so they look like mountains. And there are mountains in the distance. So yeah, go right up to the edge of the canvas, and later on if I want to, I can paint the edges, you know, a different color. Some more darker purple for the mountains off in the distance. And I'm loving how the water, it's acting just like water paper, or watercolor paper. Can't talk today. Watercolor paper. It's just really, really cool. Now the background, as you can see, is very green. So with some yellows mixed in, so that is exactly what I'm going to do. So my paints are over here, and I'm just totally I think I'm going to lay down orange first in the background and just do that. Just lay down some orange first for the background, and then throw in some green. And I'm using a very orangey orange. Don't know what you would call this in the watercolor scale, but it's very, very orange. And you know, if you go over the lines, you know, that's okay. You know, don't be so much in the lines when it comes to watercolor. Let it do its thing. You know, let it just be smooth and very, very relaxed. Don't try to force it. Let the water move the color, the pigment on your canvas or paper or whatever you happen to be using. Like I said, today I'm using a canvas. This is a 9x12 canvas, and gosh, this is so much fun. Listening to NPR while I do this. Of course, down here, there will be shadowing because the sun is coming from this direction. So I'm going to want the shadowing to be in that direction. So I want things to be a little darker by their feet and stuff. But this is so much fun. Gosh, I may have to put on a couple of layers just so the colors, you know, because the colors are doing exactly what they would do if it was watercolor paper. It's really thin and being really, really fluid. And that's exactly what you want. You want things to be fluid and not so forced. I'm going to make this a little darker over here so it doesn't look like I'm trying, you know, anything. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is a little bit more dark orange, especially as we get near the back of the scenery, especially up against the mountains, because there's plants, you know, they go all the way up against the mountain. So, you know, nobody would think, oh, we use orange. No, you would think, oh, use green, right? But with the background, this yellow, I mean, there's a lot of yellow in this picture, if you see. And then there's a lot of light green, and then there's a lot of blue. So you want to kind of just mix the colors. Another thing I noticed, there's no real ballooning happening to the paint, which I think is just great, because sometimes ballooning is good and sometimes it's not good. Sometimes you don't want that in a painting. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the sky a little bit darker. Let's see what happens when I add in, yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to add in a darker blue in the sky, like so. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm just going to paint, and you just watch. I notice there's a little bit of bubbles in here. I don't know how that's going to affect the painting, but we shall see. I don't experience bubbles like that with watercolor. But since this is my first time painting with watercolor gourd or watercolor ground on canvas, there's bound to be some interesting effects. And that's perfectly all right. This is part of learning, and part of growing and expanding is by experimenting and trying new things when it comes to art. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and it is whatever you make of it. And nothing has to be perfect. You notice I'm being cautious, going around the edges very cautiously. And I want to make that sky super dark, except for the white areas where the clouds are. You want to leave the cloud area white. So I'm trying to get rid of those bubbles. Oh, those little bubbles forming. That's interesting. That's probably going to add a whole new texture to this. But I mean, look at the colors. Of course, I'm using a very, very vibrant paint pan that I was gifted for my birthday last year. And I love this paint pan. I have two of them. I have this, and then I have this one. It's a travel pan, but I'm not taking it with me when I go on my trip. In fact, I'm going to do a separate video of what I'm taking when I go on my trip, which will be in Tacoma, Washington in October. And if you all would like to join me in October, I'm gonna try to paint outdoors on location in Tacoma, Washington. My daughter says there are several parks nearby where she lives in Tacoma, and is probably going to be taking me to those parks. If you would like to paint with me on location and learn techniques, watercolor techniques and how-tos, then by all means get a hold of me. You can email me at StoutViki, STOUTVIKI @yahoo.com. You can email me there. You can text me at 915-808-9089 and let me know that you want to meet me there. The cost for the class, the outdoor plein air, will be $25 a person. You need to bring your own supplies. I'm not going to provide the supplies for you. because I'm traveling. I'm going to dip into a lighter purple here. Add some more purple to the background. It's kind of faded off and the yellow has kind of run into it. There we go. And that indicates mountains in the background. I see a little bit of ballooning here, which is interesting. Those are what a happy painter, I call him. He says those are happy mistakes. You know, and it's just really, really cool. This working on this is really, really cool. I'm getting some interesting things going on in the sky, which is pretty cool. And I don't know, I'll review the video afterwards to see if you can hear me really good, but I'm hoping you'll hear me pretty good, even with the background noise. I always listen to NPR when I'm painting because sometimes they play jazz, and I love to listen to jazz when I'm painting. Jazz just turns me on to doing art. Very careful there. I want to make this a little darker over here, so I'm using a darker purple, and I love the way that it is just like maybe ballooning a little bit over here, and that's fine. It's turning into a little bit of mud, so I'm going to let that dry and then come back and what I'm going to do. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back and start working on the horse and the young woman here.